Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend Matt.
You put the ribs in the oven at 200 degrees for 4 hours, and they fall off the bone. Your body is on your skeleton at 98 degrees for 70 years and nothing. Dr. Michael Baden on the paradox of meat.
Wow. I mean, yeah, you never think about that. You know? Especially when you put your own body, like... Wait, there's so much about that that's a little confusing to me.
Okay.
So is he saying that like the it's weird how the ribs on the human body don't fall off, but when you put the
the meat doesn't fall off the bone despite the human body being at 98 degrees for 70 years, but at 200 degrees for 4 hours, rib meat is fall off the bone on the ribs.
Because it's 200 degrees.
Chris, I don't think you're going to get much more insightful information from a ClickHole article. It's okay.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. I was like, is this... I'm trying to think if this is a reference to a TV show, or I'm trying to think of like this weird doctor thing, maybe part of the governmental administration. I don't know.
Who knows at this point?
Anyways, welcome everyone to the Virtual Ball Boys.
Thank you, Walsh. Thank you, Walsh, for sending me that to use.
Oh, that's good. That's excellent. So we are at the 3/4 point, the third quarter pole, I guess is the term. I don't know, that's like a horse racing term, right?
Probably something like that.
Yeah. Of the season, and so that means everyone has 4 games remaining. We're all lined up. It's nice and sync, which is kind of crazy considering all the fucking shit that we've been through already with COVID. That everything is still perfectly lined up after week 13.
Yeah.
So we will recap those games in just a moment. We will also we'll have a segment talking about teams that we think that are going to be irrelevant in December, but will have big seasons next year. And we will also pick our games as per usual. So without any further ado, let's talk about Game of the Week. And I never thought that this particular team would get featured in Game of the Week. I kind of felt like I kind of figured that if it would be in a victory, and it could have still been if it weren't for Henry Ruggs and the Las Vegas Raiders basically handing the Jets the W, a theoretical W for their draft, but a literal L on their record to add to their collection. As the Las Vegas Raiders went into New York and looked to be like about to lose to the Jets. It looked really bad. They were
the Jets who haven't won a game up to this point.
Yes, the Jets, of course, winless. They were down. I believe they were down multiple scores at one point to the Jets, and the Jets scored a what seemed to be a game-winning touchdown, I believe it was, and it seemed like everything was going to go the way of the Jets, and then despite only having like 20 seconds on the clock or less to try to march down the entire field, Derek Carr launches a bomb to Henry Ruggs. And by the way, should be noted that the defensive coverage of the Jets had a big contribution to that Henry Ruggs touchdown, as one guy covered Henry Ruggs and no one else, as he went down the field, caught the touchdown, and got the Raiders back on track after their blowout loss to the Falcons the previous week. What's your thoughts on this?
I was looking at the game and you texting me to let me know to look at it because unlike Chris, who gets to watch every game at one time, I am a peasant who only gets to watch the 3 games that the local cable gods decide that I get to watch.
Hey, happens sometimes. You gotta get that red zone package.
Yeah, maybe someday. I don't think is Red Zone DirecTV?
No,
Is that Comcast? Or is
it's
that just whoever?
if you have NFL Network, I think it comes with NFL Red Zone.
I don't think
Sure.
that's how that works. Because I have NFL Network.
It might be specific packages, but NFL Red Zone, there's two
you definitely need to pay for it though.
Yeah, there's two
Pay
versions
extra
of
for
Red
it.
Zone. There's a DirecTV version, and then there's an NFL Network version. They're two different owners, two different hosts, two different programs completely, essentially.
Gotcha.
So it may be something you have to pay for. I think it just came,
Yeah.
I think I had like we might have a sports package with our cable bill. Anyways, continue.
True. Anyway, I was looking at the score and I was like, oh my god, they might actually win. And then I checked the final score and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. They still lost. I didn't know what had happened. And then I got on Twitter because I was doing something else. I was busy working on something. Then I got on Twitter. Saw the implication that Greg Williams had. I thought that Greg Williams had been fired on the spot.
Oh,
based on how Twitter was reacting to what the fuck happened at the end of that game.
Yeah,
and everyone posting photoshopped pictures of Trevor Lawrence in a Jaguars uniform because of how much the Jets were about to blow getting the first overall pick, and then
yeah, it was a surreal sequence because I think generally, like at that point, the game of the day, which was Browns Titans, was already out of hand. The Browns had that locked in. So all the nation's attention basically turned to this Jets game, but at the same time, the Jaguars game, because at the same time, the Jaguars were beating up on the Vikings.
Right, and then they went to overtime.
Right. And then the Jaguars ended up blowing that as well, but it felt like everything was in the Jets' favor, because if the Jets won that game and the Jaguars won that game, well then the Jets
are still good.
They're still, the Jets are locked in still at number one. But good, luckily for them, almost, I guess if you want to call it, they blew it at the last second, and because then the Jaguars ended up losing it in overtime. But my goodness gracious, it was an absolute just it was just one of the moments that you're just glad to have social media. Like, I know some days we're like, man, I hate seeing this, it's always negative all the time on social media, and then there's just times where those good moments happen,
this
and you're
shit
like,
happens.
God, that's some good memeage right there. I need to inject it into my veins. But yeah, no, Matt alluded to, the Greg Williams did not get fired on the spot, although again that would have been incredible. He got fired the next day, and so the Jets will be moving forward with a new defensive coordinator. And considering how much of a dick Greg Williams is, I'm not really that sad or anything.
No, fuck that guy. He's not. He's a dick, and he's not good at his job.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of love poured his way when he was the interim head coach a few years ago for the Browns.
But
that's a far gone.
I saw a tweet that shared every record of a team that Greg Williams was with. Not a single. I think the Browns 7-8-1 was the highest record on that list.
Well, I thought that he was on the Saints Super Bowl team. I thought that because that's how the Bounty Gate happened. I thought.
Yeah, well, maybe he was on that team. In the past X number of years or so.
Yeah,
since that point.
That is before my time.
It was since Bounty Gate.
It was since. Oh, okay, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's why I was like, huh. I thought that he was. Yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah, so he was on the Saints, but since then he's just been shit. Yeah, okay, just making sure. But anyways, as for the Raiders in this whole thing, it did not give me any confidence for the team moving forward.
No.
You needed a somewhat miracle to pull off the victory
against the Jets.
And if the Jets, if Greg Williams made the right call and at least got 2 or 3 people on Henry Ruggs, you probably don't win that game. So you should be thankful for the Jets too for blowing it. for getting and staying in this playoff race, but confidence has dwindled for the people in Tinseltown,
Yep.
for sure. Moving forward here, the blowout of the week.
Oh boy.
And a big old guarantee in the big spot on this one for Mr. Matt here. The Patriots at the Chargers.
So I made that as a you know what, I'll go with this. I'm pretty confident, but it could still go either way.
Yeah.
And I think it was even like the chance to the API chance to win or whatever was like, oh, they have a 51% chance to win.
Yeah, no, it was tight. It was a tight. It
was
a tight before it, and
then 45-0. I'm glad the result happened. Don't get me wrong, but
that is the, I believe, the biggest score deficit of the season.
I don't see how it isn't.
I can't think of another,
because barely any teams score 45 points to begin with.
Right.
So
yeah, that has to be the biggest blowout. And I went in, that was one of our disagreements on Sunday. I was thinking, again, my thinking in this, I still do believe that the Chargers are talented.
Yeah,
but
you should think that.
But when your special teams falls apart, and once again, it goes back to coaching. And again, Anthony Lynn's a nice guy. We've seen him on Hard Knocks. We've seen him. He seems like a very nice guy. Dude is not being a good coach for the Chargers. And
no.
And the coaching staff has completely let the Chargers down. Not to say that the offense defense also fell apart against the Patriots. They absolutely did. But it is a big indictment right now on the Anthony Lynn coaching staff and the tenure that you went into this game with everyone expecting it to be somewhat close, and you blew it.
You blew it.
You blew it in a big spot. Like, you couldn't even stay in the game beyond the second quarter. And the Patriots, on the other hand, I think with the Patriots, it's interesting because I am. When we started this season, I kind of sat here and I was like, I want to root for this Patriots team in a way, because I like that it's different. I like that there's something new. But as the Patriots keep on finding success, I'm getting a little bit annoyed again. And I think it's just feelings that are going to be hard to drop for a little while. That's part of it. And I also just think, I think the crux of it is, I want this AFC East to not be hindered by yet another Patriots, like, coming in and showing off and just shutting down the Bills and Dolphins out of any fun that we could have with this fucking playoff, anything new with this division. So I think that's where I'm getting frustrated at the Patriots being successful. But scrappy group, man. They have a defense that's been playing a lot better compared to the rest of the season. And Cam Newton has not thrown a lot, but has been kind of like the Lamar Jackson, kind of running around a lot. And it's working in his favor.
Or as we would call it 4 years ago, doing the Cam Newton thing.
Right, doing the usual Cam Newton thing that we would expect him to do. And that's even without having still not having a whole lot of support overall, but there are people that are stepping up in the offense. So
yeah.
What's your thoughts on the Patriots right now?
I mean, it's hard to tell against a team like the Chargers. I think they're going to get a much bigger test against the Rams this week.
Sure,
who
absolutely.
have been good, but are another team that's had those moments where they just shit the bed.
Yeah.
So,
tomorrow
night's going to be interesting. Or tonight, if you're listening to this.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm excited for that game because it's a Super Bowl rematch. It's the first time these two teams are playing since the 53rd.
Yep.
53rd.
Yep. 53rd.
And we will preview the game, but it is going to be interesting, and I think, you're at a point though where, like, if you lose another game for the Patriots, like, then that is it probably for them and their hopes that, like, if they want to get into like
they want to get in.
They want to get in. I mean,
they still have to compete with Cleveland is pretty much guaranteed to be in. AFC South gets a spot. From there, it's beating Baltimore, it's beating Miami, it's beating Las Vegas, which you can do now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, a division's out of the question, unless the Bills and Dolphins just fall completely apart, which I know Dolphins have a tough schedule. I think Bills at least get one more win or two before the end of the season. They're playing really hot right now. I think, yeah, I think that if you're a wild card team in the AFC, you need to get to 10 wins. And so if the Patriots lose this game,
that is wild. Wow.
So it's AFC's the deep division, the deep conference this year.
It is switched from when we started this podcast.
Yeah, because
when we started, not just VBB, but when we started doing football stuff in general, Chris and I, our thing was just shitting on the AFC for not having good teams.
Yeah. Consistently, just having like maybe like one team that was like all right, that like would compete with the Patriots, and then it would always just be the Patriots, because we had that huge gap of years where, like, I mean, before the Chiefs last year, it was the Patriots constantly making it to the Super Bowl, and it's just like, what can anyone do to stop this? Yeah, so that it's gonna be interesting. I'm excited for that. But we might have two middling records of with the 7th seed and the NFC East being in the NFC playoffs. It's gonna be brutal. And last but not least, we got a few chaos games this week.
Oh yeah, we did.
The showcase game. We'll pick this as our team chaos of the week. The Washington football team, Alex Smith. That defense, they pulled it out, and the Steelers look like they're a little bit of a disarray after two tough games. One that they got through and won, but one that they fell short in. And what's your thoughts after Monday night?
I think that the Steelers are actually facing some tough opponents now. And not relying on their easy schedule to remain undefeated. But big congrats to the Washington football team. They're playing out of their minds, and they should be happy with what they did. If Alex Smith had not already won Comeback Player of the Year, he certainly did in that game.
Yes. No, yeah, I think that's a lock at this point.
Yeah. There's no other person it could go to except for Big Ben.
Yeah, so my favorite.
But it's not going to Big Ben.
My favorite thing, and I texted you about it. My favorite thing was that the preview for that game for Washington Steelers was that they were showing like this side by side of the adversity that Alex Smith had to deal with and the adversity that Big Ben had to deal with, and it would cut to like Alex Smith's entire leg being in a brace that he could barely walk, and we know that like he almost had an infection that killed him in that leg.
Almost died.
Almost died. And then they cut to Big Ben, and he has like this little bruise on his arm, and he's just saying, and he has almost like a pain look on his face, like he's like a little kid that just fell off a fucking playground swing. And it's just like, and obviously, I know that the injury is tough. Obviously, he lost his entire season because of it. But it just, looking at what Alex Smith went through compared to Big Ben, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, let's just try to.
Interesting comparison made.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna do it anyway because I want to talk. I want to talk about this team, the New York Giants. Came at what this was going to be our team chaos before Washington did what they did, but the New York Giants out of nowhere came in to went into it used to be Century Lake, now it's the Lube or whatever the fuck, Lumen. It's like Lumen, and I call it. I was like, it's not. It doesn't have the same. The link doesn't have the same. Or the link. Is like so superior compared to like whatever the nickname would be for this would be like the Lou, whatever. The Giants entered Seattle and kicked their butt. Completely rattled Russell Wilson. The offense was alright, did what it had to do to kind of just move through the game, but the defense, I mean, holy fucking shit. This is shocking to me because I've been on the train as a Giants fan, haven't been on this fucking train of how horrid the defense has been for the Giants over the last few years. And all of a sudden, these no-name guys are stepping up. And specifically, I'm so excited that Leonard Williams is kicking ass because I loved him from the moment that he was drafted. I thought that he had such a fun persona with being Big Cat, the big hair. And the fact that he was on the Jets, didn't really succeed on the Jets, now he's on the Giants, and he's kicking ass every single week. Oh, man, that is... He and all the Giants players, Jabril Peppers is playing out of his mind. I mean, that defense is excellent. And it's not... I may be like a top 5 defense. I'm not going to necessarily call it number 1. But it's enough where they're going to win games that you wouldn't expect them to in the past, and they've won 4 in a row, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, it makes with the Giants and Washington football team playing as good as they have as of late, I'm very curious to see.
This division became exciting.
Yeah, like I'm interested to see. Like I think it's going to be an interesting race down the stretch because yes, the Giants have the tiebreakers over the Washington football team. They swept them. But I don't know. Both teams have a tough schedule. The Giants have Cardinals, Browns, Ravens, and Cowboys to finish off the year. Washington, on the other hand, has San Francisco. Well, excuse me. I'm completely. I just lost the schedule I was reading. Oh, good. Now you're not going to load. Cool. Okay, there you go. San Francisco, then Seattle, then Carolina, then the Eagles. I just look at that and I feel like the Washington might have the easier schedule, but if the Giants can get, I think that if the Giants get 2 more wins, if they win half their schedule of what's remaining, I think they win the division.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
I don't know. It's actually competitive. It is between these 2 teams.
Yeah, no, I mean,
for sure.
At this point, Eagles are now 1.5 games back. Cowboys are 2 games back.
I'd like to call an emergency meeting.
Oh God. Okay, all right.
Emergency meeting. Can we Did you
do the number pad by any chance? I want to make sure that you were standing there, and I just want to make sure that you were doing the number pad because it seemed like you did it really quickly and left.
What?
If we called it an emergency meeting, I'm just making sure.
I did.
Okay.
I did. Okay, so emergency meeting. We need I don't know what's going on. We need to unbury the Vikings and put the Eagles in their place to protect our integrity. But
the graveyards got closed. It's like they shut it down. They're like, all right, Halloween. We had they were like the grass is like frozen over for the winter. I don't know, man. I want to. I don't know. Maybe we could break in. Maybe we can break
in at some point. But the Vikings are currently. If the playoffs started today, the Vikings are in the playoffs, and we look like idiots. So,
well, here's what I'll say. I want to double down, and this is the only reason why I'm going to double down a little bit on this prediction. And if you feel contested, I will get the crowbar and break it to the cemetery.
All right.
But they have the Bucks and Saints on their schedule still.
Okay.
Which would bring them down to 8 losses.
Yes.
On the year, if they lose those 2 games. They do have the Bears and Lions, so that could give them 2 wins. That could get them to 8-8. 8-8 might be the 7th seed. But if I'm looking at the other schedules, let's look at San Francisco real quick.
I'm looking at Arizona's. Arizona has to face New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and LA again.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a tough schedule.
Yeah.
For 49ers, it's Washington, the Cowboys, the Cardinals, and then the Seahawks. I don't know, man. I feel like it could be San Francisco. I don't know. It's tough. I'm with you because I don't think we have any debate about the Eagles. All right, fine. We'll break it to the crowbar. All right, we're in the graveyard. We're gonna take out the Vikings. we now have this hairy man who's heavy breathing right now because he was just in the grave for so long.
We have a zombie Viking.
Yeah, and now we're gonna just throw a dead eagle into the grave, and all right. So then the further edits that we've made here. So the Vikings have been saved, and the Eagles are back in as of. I'm gonna make the note. It's as of December 9th, just to know that this was a log that went way beyond our time.
It's fine.
So we saved ourselves. All right, congratulations, Vikings. All right. So let's move on to today's segment. So for those in the video game world, you may know that the Game Awards are tonight. I mean, when this episode goes up, this will be on tonight. And the game that everyone will be talking about is Cyberpunk 2077, which has been in the works for what feels like a decade, and is finally going to be coming out in December. Curious, throw it out there. Quick conversation, quick dialogue about Cyberpunk. What do you think about it?
So, the whole idea of like a cyberpunk aesthetic is to be, futuristic, and the whole like punk suffix on things is supposed to be like anti-establishment shit.
Mm-hmm.
That does not fit the vibe of this game whatsoever. They seem to be using the genre as a background rather than actually having the commentary that Cyberpunk is known for. And my God, have you seen the fucking terms and services?
I saw some of it. If you would like to read it for the crowd, though, just a little bit if you want.
I'll read the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Number 1, about this agreement. No, you know what? I will read the age restriction one. So number 2, age restrictions and content warning. This is cute. So the game's got this minimum age rating, quote, minimum age rating, end quote, okay? So if ya, YA, wanna get into Night City, I'm trying to, TRYNA, keep a straight face here. And that was in dashes. You gotta be above that rating. Usually it's 18 plus, but say you live somewhere that says, and then it cuts off from the screenshot I have. But
that sums it up, I think.
All of the yas and gottas
I will
that you are legally agreeing to.
I will say that that it's had a rocky life cycle. Obviously you hear the crunch stories, you hear, like they had an early on transphobic moment that they since apologized for, and then they had and now you have some of the reviews that are out now, and you have the 7 out of 10 written by someone who is now getting completely eviscerated. She's just because apparently people think that she, quote, didn't play the game, and now the Cyberpunk fans are harassing her, even though it makes no fucking sense that they're Cyberpunk fans, because no one has played the fucking game outside of the person that actually reviewed the game. So there's just a lot to process about this game.
There's a lot to process. There's also like from what I could tell, the and I don't know a ton about the genre. This is just from what I've heard and sure. The light that I've experienced.
Yeah.
The cyberpunk genre as a whole is a fantastic way to explore gender expression in general, because it's like part of it is like body modifications, where like you're not just a person, you have a robotic arm, and that can lead to other body augmentations that can help people better align with the gender they identify with.
Right.
And you can't really do that shit in Cyberpunk from what I've seen.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, there is like I think that there's some minor things like I think that you can. I don't know. This is completely speaking from just reviews that I've seen. I think that there is some gender expressive things that you could do regardless of that could best suit where you are, but at the same time, like there's like for the voice, there's like a voice modifier part of the game where like when you're creating the character that I think is specifically designated male and female, and that's just kind of like I mean that happens in so many games nowadays that people are not doing the right thing by catching on to non-binary people and helping them like be able to identify as non-binary in a game, but it's it is just it's still just ridiculous. But I again, it's a Fallout style game that people are gonna love and going to be talking about, and it's got enough good reviews where it's gonna be. I'm interested in seeing how it goes. I'm interested in seeing how it plays out.
I'm sure it will be a good game. I'm not trying to argue against that, but it's just with the genre that they could explore with, and with this gonna be most people's introduction to a this going to be most people's introduction to the cyberpunk genre as a whole. It's not going to represent it as well as I think it could be.
No, for sure, 100%. I agree with that. And so, regardless, so Cyberpunk, like I mentioned earlier, delayed it to all hell until it got to this point, till people are finally playing it, finally experiencing the game. And I think there's a lot of NFL teams that are sitting at the bottom of the bottom of the league this year, that are also feeling like their hopes and dreams have been delayed a year. And so I want to talk about the teams that we feel are not going to be really talked about in December, that we're not really going to mention a whole lot. We'll probably pick, when we go to pick their games, we're going to be like, all right, so this playoff team that they're facing, we're going to pick them and forget about this December team. We don't even know who they are. I want to talk about the teams that we think are going to have a really, really good 2021 compared to their really, really bad 2020. And why don't you start us off here?
Well, there's a team that I've been talking about this for literally the entire season.
Yes.
And you knew I was going to start with this, right?
I 100%. I kind of teed you up for it.
Yeah. So the Carolina Panthers this year, playing in a lot of close games. McCaffrey's been out with an injury for most of the season, which has sucked. They have a very young defense that has been pretty talented and has a lot of great parts. I think the crazy draft only defense this year probably paid off and got some good pieces with Brown, with Gross Matus on that line, and then Jeremy Chin, potential Droy.
Yes, the Droy.
Yeah, and give the offense one more give the offense one more step forward. Put Christian McCaffrey back in there. This was a team that everyone thought Trevor could be on at the start of the year.
We thought that it could happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no, Matt Rule's doing a great job with this team. He's really good at turning teams around. Bridgewater's playing great in this offense. They have the wide receivers. They just need to get McCaffrey back in, maybe help that O-line, and then just let the defense grow. And next year they could be some young contenders.
Yeah, I think at this point, I maybe I'm wrong. I feel like they are going to rely on Teddy Bridgewater next year. I feel like he's their franchise quarterback. Am I wrong?
I don't see why he wouldn't be.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people felt like Bridgewater was a bridge quarterback coming into this year, but based off of everything that we've seen, and he's played well enough where I think that they're going to give him another year to continue to grow under him, and again they have some of the offensive talent. I mean, it's certainly Christian McCaffrey being the star of it all. But
look at Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore.
Yeah, those guys are
great wide receiver duo. You have Curtis Samuel who can do running back and wide receiver stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, the defense has its moments, but overall has been a disappointment. But that was kind of expected coming into this year. If they get some good defensive players, in addition to having the D-Roy going into his second year with Jeremy Chin, I don't know. I think you have a good there's something, you have a really good opportunity to not only compete for the playoffs, but hey, maybe even compete for the division, because we don't know where the Saints will be, where the Bucks will be after next year. Kind of everything seems like to be building up for both of those teams in 2020. I'm going to go with another team that you like a lot. I'm going to go Jacksonville Jaguars.
I would not have agreed with you on this one or picked it myself, but do continue.
So I think you look at the last how many weeks that they've been in playing games, is awful as things have been for their season, and with, of course, the exception of the Steelers game, they have competed hard in against the Chargers, Texans, Packers, Browns, and Vikings down the stretch here, and every single game it just feels like, despite having like weird guys at quarterback, things are working out. They have a lot of young studs on offense. James Robinson's been excellent. Laviska Shenault is been pretty solid overall. That seems like he's gonna be a star. And they have a lot of young defensive players that I think going into next year, are they going to be a playoff team? We'll see. But I think that if they get at least a number 2 overall pick and they draft like a Justin Fields as their quarterback, or they do what they should be doing, which they should have been relying on Gardner Minshew still, and he's not a world beater, but he at least can play competent quarterback. They're not putting him in because it seems like they want to lose, or they're just gonna, stick with Mike Glennon for whatever reason. But I like the Jaguars. I think that, like, in terms of going beyond this year, like right now, how things stand, I think obviously this season, I think they're gonna lose every game that's left.
Oh yeah,
but
totally.
Beyond this year, if they get a new coach, get a new GM, start new, you don't have to sell anything. You have a bunch of young players that could really play well, and you don't have a ton of money piled up on the cap right now, so you could use that to really create an excellent environment for a rookie quarterback, with some gifted veterans coming off the free agent market.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to name another one that might have been one of yours, but I want to throw out there.
Go ahead, hit it.
I'm going to say the Giants.
Oh, all right. I that was not one of my. That's what I was not thinking that, because I was thinking like, oh, maybe playoffs this year. But go ahead.
That's true. Could make playoffs this year. We are still talking them, but actually a good team, like in a non this year's NFC East position.
Mm-hmm.
Like. They've had a really solid defense this year. Daniel Jones and Saquon have been out with an injury, so that's been kind of affecting their offensive talents.
Yeah.
But keep most of this defense together and have Saquon in, have him healthy, and maybe get another weapon of some kind or O-line help or whatever is needed. I can see a world where they're more successful.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I'm a little bit worried about with the success of the Giants is the fact that they might keep Dave Gettleman around. And that's not to say that like their free agent acquisition's been solid. The trade for Larry Williams worked out for them right now. But I think generally he's not drafted well. Like Andrew Thomas right now has not played very well for this team. With that said, I mean, you're right, though. I mean, I think that we are looking at a Giants team that is still, like, you still have your 2 stars that are young, and Saquon being out for this entire year sucks, and we thought that was just going to be the end right there for the Giants. But, I mean, there's a chance that, like, you get him back, and you get someone else that can play wide receiver, and explore other offensive line options too, because even at times they've played well, but at times it's just not great. Just retool the offense a little bit, and yeah, they're going to be competitive. They are going to be relevant, I think, in December for this year. But I think that in terms of like, oh, they're gonna get the 4 seed and then get blown out by like the Seahawks or whoever ends up being the 5 seed. But I agree with you though. Like, I think that what's happening right now is signs for a bright future, potentially. I just, the GM is the only thing I'm like, oh, I don't know. Don't love Getty. Well, it's me, Dave.
It's Dave.
If I could throw out a team that we just saw got a big old burger dropped on them in the Chargers, I still, like I said, have a lot of faith in them, and it starts with Justin Herbert. I mean, dude, beyond obviously, like, we there was so much talk going into the season about Joe Burrow being like this lights out star, and he played well, but Herbert came in and he wowed people. He was a top 10 quarterback for most of this season. As of late, he's struggled, but I have so much faith in him. I have a lot of faith in this team, and I think I think that I don't think Tom Telesco is gonna get fired. I think Anthony Lynn will, and if that's the case, you have I don't think there's a job that's more attractive in terms
Than
of a
the Chargers.
win. Yeah, in terms of a win now situation than the Chargers.
True.
So I think that they're just gonna kind of be another team that we're gonna see on the schedule, and we won't care for them. We won't really care to pick them in games, but I think that they're gonna shine it out big time when it all comes down to it. Do you have anyone else that you have in mind?
I could say the Bengals. The Bengals are in, I think, a little worse position, comparable to the Chargers, but not quite as good.
Sure.
Of a position. I mean, Burrow going out. Burrow's gonna be fine, but him going out really sunk the sails for the team this year.
Yeah, I think that I agree that I think they could definitely see improvement next year. I think there's too many questions from like who the fuck is Zach Taylor? We never talk about him. But he's the head coach. And and even the ownership. I mean, we've known for years that the owner / GM for the Bengals has always been very conservative when it comes to signing big names and making good draft picks and just doing the job that a general manager should do. So that's the only thing. I think that having Burrow goes a long way to just making life easier for everyone in Cincinnati, and it could work out for them and alone. Other little names that I was just thinking about too, I think Falcons and Texans. I mean, those two teams were not Falcons, but the Falcons. I think they always just keep on showing that they have something there, on the offensive front, and then nothing in the defensive front. But they keep on being on and off impressive. And the Texans, just with Deshaun Watson, man, they if they could get someone good to coach, if they could get for those two teams, and they could get a solid head coach and a solid general manager, that's the key. I know it sounds obvious, but that's the key, and then it could work out for them. And I'll just say, the Jets, as bad as it is, I think everyone's going to be talking about Trevor Lawrence this time next year if he's in a Jets uniform.
I agree, and if Adam Gase is not the coach, that entire team is going to be better.
No, if they keep Adam Gase, everything goes out the fucking window. But if they get rid of Adam Gase, then we're talking. And I see the Cowboys and Eagles here. And I want to say that those two teams bounce back in some capacity, but I don't know, man. There is a part of me that just feels like they're heading into a rut. Eagles are heading into a rut with Carson Wentz, and the Cowboys are heading into a rut.
They're not even starting Carson Wentz this week.
No, I know, but the fact that he's such a cap hit on that team, and he's gonna end up being a backup quarterback, it's just insane. He's gonna hold down the team, and he's not even gonna be out on the field in terms of cap. It's crazy. And then the Dallas Cowboys, I think that there's going to be there's talent in Dallas, but I don't know. I think this Mike McCarthy thing was a bad idea, man.
I would agree with you, and I'm pretty sure I said that in the moment that I thought it was a bad hire.
I was a little bit more optimistic because I just figured that as a Super Bowl head coach, and then he seemed reformed, but I mean, you'll say anything in front of a camera to get you, and anyone to an owner to get yourself, a paycheck. So I'm with you. I'm with you now. I there's just something about him that's just not doing it. He's just consistently been a terribly coached team. He's put out a terribly coached team. I have one more question for you before we move on to the picks.
Is this the one that you're springing on me?
I was teasing this a little bit prior to the podcast. Who is the Keanu Reeves of the NFL? This was related to Cyberpunk, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if I
know.
I don't know if I know about enough about Keanu Reeves to answer this question.
Here's what I don't know enough about Keanu Reeves either. So this
Yeah.
is just throwing it out there. My thing is that Keanu Reeves has become this cultural icon that everyone just sees him and they're like, oh my god, we need to see, he's like the best. He's the chillest dude. He's really good. Like, he's really good at what he does. He's a great actor. We love seeing him in things. He'll come out and point at a fan and say, you're beautiful. You know, like, he's a beloved icon. And so it's kind of like, I'm kind of working off of those. Like, I'm just curious if you have someone that you could think of in that sense.
I'm gonna go with that, but also try to pick someone who's been around for a long time.
Sure.
Just because Keanu's been around for a long time, and I think my answer is Drew Brees.
Okay. Interesting. I was thinking along the same lines. I'm thinking, and it's tough because we know that he has, like, his private life has been kind of, like, exposed as being, like, he's, like, his brother hates him, his family hates him, or whatever. But I feel like Aaron Rodgers has those vibes, man. Like, I feel like he has, like, those, like, he's super laid back, has such a weird mind. If you listen to him on podcasts, he just goes on about, like, for an hour about dreams. But he's also, like, an MVP candidate this year.
Yeah.
And he's just incredible at what he's doing. But I like the Drew Brees one. What makes you say that about Drew Brees?
Because he's, like, he's always been one of those, like, it's Drew Brees, love that guy.
Yeah,
kind of deal. Mainly that. Also, Keanu's been around for a long time. Drew Brees hasn't been around since the 90s, but it's almost felt like it.
No, for sure. I feel like you have to go with someone that's, like, up there. Yeah. You know, that's up there in age. It's certainly, like, I like that neither of us chose Tom Brady, because I feel like I not to, you know, Tom Brady's who he is, but he's never been, like, the most, like, I don't know. He's showed it more in recent years, but before it, he just didn't seem like a very down to earth quarterback, and he just was very, like, you know, very Patriots way esque up until he got Twitter. And
I inject my body with plants. That's my Brady impression, I guess.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll chalk that one up as a success. Yeah. No, just curious. Let us know who you think the Keanu Reeves of the NFL is.
Yeah. At Virtual Ball Boys on Twitter.
Yes.
You hear my voice say it at the end of every episode.
Yeah. Don't you guys know where we're at by now? God damn. Who are you guys? You guys are not true fans.
Did you know that in my Doc of Shame outro, that was still when my voice was really hurting? So you could hear how, like, scratchy my voice is when I say Doc. Not for the rest of it. It's like, the Doc of Shame is brought to you by Team Chaos Productions, and then for the rest of it, it's fine.
Oh yeah. I think I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think that way. I just figured it was just a fun way of saying Doc. The Doc of Shame. Just a fucking, like, Big Brother-esque announcer voice. All right. Before we get to the picks, it's time for our Super Tackle Bros playoff preview. By any chance, do you have the link to the playoffs?
Sure. I don't know why I sound upset about that.
I for whatever reason, I just forgot to have it available. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start at the top here. It's gonna be the AFC. Yep. Billy Buffalo. Billy Buffalo is up first. Billy Buffalo hasn't made. Oh, actually, before we get to the scenarios, we have some births. We got some births here. All right. First things first. The New Orleans Saints. They got Sir Gumbo. Or excuse me. Fuck. Hold on.
Gumbo and Chin Man.
And Chin Man, Gumbo and Chin Man. You know what? They should have fucking named it that. I like that a lot.
Sir Saints or Mr. Saint?
Yeah, it's Sir Saint and Gumbo.
Sir Saint and Gumbo.
So Sir Saint and Gumbo, they're gonna. I think my intent for that is going to have them be. I think I'm gonna have them compete against each other to get to be the one to represent the Saints. So we'll pick a Smash character for each of those, and we'll
Cool.
do this like week 17 or something when
something like that
when we pick assign a Smash character to a mascot. And on top of that, Casey Wolf also has earned a berth into Super Tackle Bros as well. The crazy Wolf is now in. So anyways, Billy Buffalo, what's he gotta do to get in?
So in order for Billy Buffalo to get in, Buffalo needs to win, and then Baltimore, Miami, Las Vegas, and New England all need to lose.
That's how tight this fucking conference is.
Yep.
You still need all those scenarios to happen. I have to remember where we're at. So it would be Baltimore has to lose to Cleveland, Miami has to lose to the Chiefs, Las Vegas has to lose to the Colts, and New England has to lose to the Rams. You know what?
It could happen. It could happen.
That's not
absolutely
crazy.
Could happen.
That's not crazy. All right. Casey Wolf now he wants to get home field advantage. What does the Kansas City Chiefs have to do to win the AFC West?
All right, to win the AFC West, all they need to do is win, or have the Raiders lose.
Again, very, very possible.
Very likely. Yep.
All right. Steely McBeam has been waiting for too long. What's the Steelers got to do to get in?
For the Steelers to get in, they need to win, or the Raiders, Miami, or Tennessee need to lose. Any one of those teams lose, or Pittsburgh wins, they get in. They can also win the AFC North if they win and Cleveland loses.
Okay. All right. So the next team we're going to talk about, sad news, they don't have a mascot, but you know what? We'll make one. We made a mascot last year. Holy fuck, we made a mascot last year. What the fuck was its name?
Oh, for the cheese shit?
Yes. Fuck.
I forget what we did.
We talked about a cheese man, like a gross cheese man being the fucking god. All right, read the playoff scenarios and I'll find it.
Okay, I really hope you can find it.
I will. I think I did it in the title.
All right, so they win the division if they win and Minnesota loses.
Okay,
they can get in the playoffs if they win and either Arizona, Los Angeles, or Seattle loses. If any of those teams lose and Green Bay wins, they get in the playoffs.
You know, I think it might be a typo, but it actually says if Green Bay wins and Seattle wins, then the Green Bay Packers are in, which is very interesting. I don't know how.
Oh, you know what?
Works.
No, because Seattle is in the division lead, so it would mean who's Seattle playing? They're playing New York. That doesn't matter.
Packers are playing the...
That might be a typo, but it might also be just the relationship to either strength of schedule or relationship to Arizona and Los Angeles.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. The Cheese Monster is what we called him.
The Cheese Monster, yes.
So the Cheese Monster, the theoretical Cheese Monster that we have no idea what the fuck it is, that's who represents the Green Bay Packers in the Smash Bros tournament. And last but not least, our Saints duo is already in, but the Saints can do a little bit more this week.
So the Saints to win the division title, pretty simple. They need to win, or Tampa Bay needs to lose. Or both teams tie. That's just an interesting fact. I don't usually go over the ties, but I think it's funny that if both of them tie, New Orleans wins.
Yeah. The Saints have the Eagles, so I think that's locked in there. Tampa, who the fuck is Tampa playing? I forget this last second.
They're playing Minnesota.
I guess it could happen.
It could, maybe. New Orleans is playing Philly, though. So.
Yeah, there you go. Locked it in. All right. That's your Super Tackle Bros preview. All right.
Yep.
Let's go over the picks. Would you like to read the picks this time?
Yes. So this week I went, or last week I went 12-3. Got my chaos right. Got my lock right. So I went 10 points total on the week, and I'm sitting at 49 points. Chris, I was just looking at my things. Thank you for sending me yours.
Yes.
Chris this week, went 11-4 with 7 points. Has a -2 modifier overall, however, since he lost his guarantee this week. And is sitting at 45 points. So we are 1 pick away record-wise, but 4 points away points-wise. So it's very close.
It is very close, but you got some cushion on me this week.
I did.
I will say, though, I'm so insanely happy that I got like a crazy chaos rate for once.
Oh, that was
took
fantastic.
It took a while for a good chaos to come through. Like you get chaoses right, and you're like, okay, good. But like when a really crazy chaos kind of works out in your favor, it's just like, that feels good. It feels good. But no, it's looking close right now, and I'm excited to see what happens. Let's go to the Week 14 games. New England Patriots at Los Angeles Rams. The Patriots coming off the huge, massive, dunked-on win over the Chargers. The Rams coming off a nice win over the Cardinals. What do you think is going to happen here?
So, I'm debating if I want this to be my chaos or if I want a different one to be my chaos. Because LA is a very good team. They have been playing well against good teams, but they are... and Jared Goff, in particular, just have a tendency to sometimes get fucked up.
Yes, indeed.
And this is definitely one of those times where the Patriots this year have been more consistent recently, and I think could pull out a victory. I'm gonna use my chaos on the Patriots. I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna go with you on that. I'm gonna stick with the Rams. I think it's very possible that the Patriots win. I think the reasoning I'm gonna pick is that the Patriots have gotten a chance to stay over in Los Angeles this time, so it's not like they have a huge travel element to it. But I just think that the Patriots offense, as well as it's working right now, I think is due for some stoppage by, I think, the strength of the Rams, which is their really solid defense. And with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald there, I think that they take care of business and get the job done.
God, this one's hard.
I know, it's a hard one. You should stand your ground, but I understand if you want to change it.
You know what? We're going to, when we get to my other one after we discuss that game, I'll see if I want to change it or not.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
To my other option.
Okay.
All right. Next up, why do I always get stuck with the Bears?
It syncs up that way.
So Houston Texans at the Chicago Bears. Remember when the Bears were 5-1? I don't. They're 5-7 now. Houston Texans coming off of a loss to the Colts. This matchup is in Chicago. How do you think it's going to
go? Do you think like the good juice of the Bears like got brought over to the Giants through our podcast? I'm gonna give credit that the Giants are winning because of me.
Because of you.
That's what I'm gonna say. Thank God I'm not saying that they're losing because of you, because that would be very rude. I think it's gonna just continue to go that way. I think the Bears are horribly coached right now.
Yep.
Their defense can play well for the first few quarters and then lose it.
Because they're always on the goddamn field and get tired.
Yeah. Right. And then that brings it to the offense where it just is nothing. And
there's nothing.
I like Deshaun Watson. They had a little bit of a rough game against the Colts, but this is not the Colts they're facing, so I'm gonna go Texans.
Texans, easy. Not my lock, but easy pick.
Yeah, sounds good. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys at Cincinnati Bengals. The Cowboys are a mess, but so are the Bengals. What do you think of this game?
I think I'm gonna go with the Cowboys, and that's mostly because the Cowboys didn't have anyone cause a fight last week. We didn't talk about that.
I forgot about that. Honestly.
Yeah.
That was really the only eventful thing about that game. I think the Cowboys do it as well. That it is not a confident pick because I do think both teams are just rubbish looking, but I think the Cowboys under Andy Dalton have seen more competitive days compared to the Brandon Allen of the Bengals. So that's where I'm going to base my pick on.
All right. Next up, Denver Broncos at Carolina Panthers. Each team is 4-8, but it feels like a very different 4-8 for each team.
Mm-hmm.
Department of Redundancy department. What do you think?
I don't know. This is a tougher game to pick because I can see where the Broncos, with the defense playing the way they did last week, maybe stepping up in this game, taking down the Panthers if Christian McCaffrey doesn't play. But I put a lot of stock in East Coast teams beating a West Coast team at 1:00, and I think that the Panthers have what it takes to beat the Broncos in this game. So I'm gonna go with the Panthers in this one.
I'm going with the Panthers as well. A lot of the same reasons. I think getting Christian McCaffrey back is going to be a huge boost to this offense. So
yeah. And even if again, there was a report that he has a new quad injury.
Fucking hell.
So so that's why I was like, I don't know if he'll play, but
good thing I'm on bye week for fantasy.
Yeah, but if he the good thing though is that I still think that the team is talented on the offensive side. That I think is better coached overall than the Broncos. That I think that they take care of business.
All right.
Next up, the Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Tennessee Titans, of course, coming off of their loss against the big time loss against the Browns, but they have an easy schedule ahead. First opponent, the Jaguars. What do you think?
Titans.
Give me the Titans. What's next?
Kansas City Chiefs at Miami Dolphins. Kansas City proving that they're the best team in the league. Take on the Miami Dolphins, who are still trying to prove themselves and keep their spot in the playoffs. How do you think this game is going to go?
I wanted to pick the Dolphins, man. It just felt like I've wanted to real badly. They haven't really given me any show out performances as of late, the Dolphins. And I know that there's a lot of commentary about how the Chiefs played on Sunday night. I think that just division games end up playing out like that. I still have faith in the Chiefs. I like their offense. I'm going with the Chiefs.
Absolutely. Chiefs are going to be really hard to beat at any point this year. I'm surprised that the Raiders were the ones who did it.
Absolutely. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers coming off of a bye. The Vikings coming off of the barely win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I still think the Buccaneers are the better team here. They have a great defense. And, I mean, the Vikings almost lost to the Jaguars. So...
yeah.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think that's really the crux of it. Kirk Cousins still, is having a relatively good season, and so is Dalvin Cook. Obviously, Dalvin Cook is playing an amazing season, but I think the one thing that I think bye weeks is going to play a big factor, and I think the defense of the Bucs is going to play a factor here. So I'm going Bucs.
Yep. Cool. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals travel to New York to take on the New York Giants. Cardinals coming off of a tough loss to the Rams. Giants coming off of a surprise win against the Eagles. Is this going to change? Is this, or the Seahawks, is this going to change anything to you?
I think it does. If you look at the Cardinals as of late, and they're favored in this game, by the way.
Yep.
But the Cardinals are sitting here having lost 4 of their last 5 games, and one of those wins was the Hail Mary. The one win was the Hail Mary.
Yep.
They've lost. So to me, it's like they lost 5 straight, but they got the lucky win. And those are against good teams, but I think the Giants have gotten to the point where they're a decent team, and I think their defense is good. And then again, the West Coast versus East Coast. The Giants being on the East and having the Cardinals come to them, I think is going to play a huge factor. And because the fact the Cardinals are favored in this game, this is the only reason that I'm doing this, is I'm Team Chaosing the Giants.
This was going to be my other potential Team Chaos.
If you want to jump on, I'm all for the ride.
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I'm never confident in the Giants, so
No, me either. But I think the Giants could absolutely blow this game. But I'm going off of I'm riding the momentum, my blue wave.
I'll ride
as you will.
I'll ride the G-Men with you, I guess.
Okay, so does that mean you're going to go back to the Rams?
Yes, I will change my pick to the Rams.
Okay. So then, does that mean we haven't disagreed on anything?
I don't think we've disagreed yet,
That's fine.
Which is my strategy. No, kidding.
No, that's fine. It's fine. I'm done. Hey, if we could have weeks like this, I'm chill. I like when we.
It's my strategy to not get behind you. Just pick exactly the same as you.
Yeah. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts at Las Vegas Raiders. Could be an intriguing game. The Colts coming off of the win over the Texans. Raiders coming off of the miracle win over the winless Jets. What do you think is going to happen?
I need to see more from the Raiders to put my faith in them again. I'm going to pick the Colts.
I will also pick the Colts. I am not.
Cool.
I am not in the. I'm not on board with what the Raiders have been doing as of late. I mean, again, this is the Raiders. They have the pieces to be good. We've seen it. It's just, as of late, you've let everyone down. And so I think the Colts have just been playing better football lately. So I'm going Colts.
All right. Let's see. Next up, we have the New York Jets at the Seattle Seahawks. Speaking of that Jets game.
Yes.
They're facing the Seahawks now, who just lost to another New York team. Is history going to repeat twice?
No.
No. God, no.
I mean, unless the new Jets defensive coordinator is as good as the Giants defensive coordinator, I'm not expecting it. Unless, oh God, imagine this is some fucked up scenario where there's a coaching change and the fucking coaching change wins the day. Fuck me on the ass. Oh God. Okay. No, I'm not buying in. See, it's gonna be Seahawks. It has to be head coach that changes. That's the rule.
Yep. Seahawks as well.
Next up, the Atlanta Falcons at Los Angeles Chargers. So these are the two teams that are the most chaos prone to having horrible losses done to either of these, and they're finally facing each other. So basically the SoFi Stadium that has been built is going to explode on Sunday. But I mean, what's going to happen in the game between the Atlanta Falcons team, who are maybe a little bit more hot than the Chargers, but a Chargers team that, I don't know, could rain chaos on Atlanta?
I did not register that the Falcons played last week, and I watched part of their game.
They existed. They're there.
They're there.
Talk about relevant teams in December.
I think I'm going to go with the Falcons.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm also going Falcons because I after what I saw last week, I'm just like, probably Raheem Morris is a better coach than Anthony Lynn at this point. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. So going Falcons.
Green Bay Packers against the Detroit Lions. Lions coming off of a. Did you see the end of the Lions game? Lions Bears game?
Yeah, I saw parts of it.
It was something. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to have that luck against the Packers again. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to have the same luck.
Nope.
I'm not on board with that. But it's kind of, I will say though, the Bears-Lions rivalry might be a sneaky underrated divisional rivalry this year, considering that both games that they played had ended in epic comebacks by the winning team.
Yeah.
So, pretty solid overall games there. But no, I'm going Packers as well.
All right. New Orleans Saints. No, I don't do this one. You do this one. I'm picking the Packers.
Yeah, I think you forgot to pick the Packers.
Yep, I forgot to pick the Packers. I'm picking the Packers.
There you go. New Orleans Saints at Philadelphia Eagles. The Saints are just riding high, man. They have not lost since September, I think, or like if anything, the first week of October. Mm-hmm. September. It's been that long since they've lost a game. And they are riding high with Taysom Hill or Drew Brees. Drew Brees might play this week. I'm not too sure. But speaking of quarterback changes, Jalen Hurts is going to be starting for the Philadelphia Eagles after Carson Wentz was benched on Sunday. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think that the Eagles are going to have a better time than they would with Wentz, but still not a good time. I'm going with the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going Saints too. I was just thinking of the jokes I've seen on Twitter. Like they went so hard that it hurts.
Yeah, something like that. They're trying. They're trying.
Yeah, they're doing their best, but the Saints are going to take care of them on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Washington football team coming off of their dethroning of the Steelers take on the San Francisco 49ers, who have the same record as them. Could make a late playoff push. Not totally sure. What do you think?
Yeah, this was probably the hardest game I had to pick this week. San Francisco did not look good against the Bills on Monday, and Washington looked good. But I'm going to give this one to San Fran. I'm not confident about it. I like Kyle Shanahan a little bit more as a coach than Ron Rivera. I think the defense... I think that the 49ers could bounce back from a loss a little bit more. I think the Washington football team, who are playing a little bit more of a short week, might ride this high a little bit too much and then lose this game. Plus, they have to go from east to west, traveling times, all that stuff. So,
yeah,
I'm gonna go San Fran.
I'm actually gonna go Washington.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, kind of a similar thing, but I like what Washington's doing. I think that they can maybe do it again. And yeah, not much else. Not much other reason for that.
No, I'm completely. I think that it's a tough game. It's a tough game to pick for sure.
Absolutely.
Next up, the Sunday night football game: Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. One of the biggest matchups of the year, and probably the biggest matchup centralized in the AFC for the rest of the 2020 regular season. Bills coming off a big win over the 49ers. Steelers coming off with a loss. Both teams had a short week to prepare for this game. What do you think is going to happen?
So I've noticed that neither of us have used our guarantee yet with these last two games that are very important. So now I'm just curious which one you are going to guarantee.
Sure.
I'm going to guarantee this one. The Steelers have to face a good team now. The Bills fucking floored San Francisco, and while I don't think that Pittsburgh is as bad as San Francisco, I have a lot of confidence in the Bills, a lot of confidence in Josh Allen. He's going to do well in this game. Steelers defense is a little bit beat up. I'm guaranteeing the Bills.
Very nice. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first time this season on the Virtual Ball Boys, it's going to be a guarantee off.
Oh, baby.
I am going to guarantee the Steelers in this one. And my reasoning is that I think there's a little too much bad press on the Steelers over the last 2 weeks. Now, granted, they were awful looking in both of those games. But I think part of that needs to be blamed on the fact that things have been rearranged on them to no fault of their own over and over again. And it completely screwed up maybe like the vibe that, the usual groove that they're usually on. I still love the Steelers defense. And I know that Bud Dupree is a big loss, and I know that's not going to be replaced, but I just think that Buffalo has at times when they have like a really good defense that they have to face, like the Rams defense, they can play well against them, and they did win that game eventually against the Rams. But I do think that there's going to be a little bit pressure on them in a big time spot here against a team that has a better record than them, and I want the Bills to win, but I'm guaranteeing the Steelers, and I just think that the Steelers are going to bounce back in this game. I think they're too good of a team to lose 2 in a row, so that's what I'm thinking.
All right. This will be fun.
Yes, it was first time this season that we've had a guarantee off like this.
Yep.
I don't think it's even remotely possible to have a Team Chaos off.
No, because of what constitutes Team Chaos for us.
But that's basically
we can have super fuckos and we have guarantee offs. But
yeah, this is the second tier almost.
Yep.
Although it's more costly than a super fucko on both sides. So
right.
This is our biggest matchup of the year. In other words.
Monday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland has a winning season for the first time almost in their existence since the year 2000.
Yeah.
Versus the Baltimore Ravens, who kind of need to win this game in order to maintain relevance.
Yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one. I almost Team Chaos the Ravens, but then I saw that they were favored in this game. Go figure. I'm gonna stick with the Ravens. Yeah, and I think the reason for this is if you look at the schedule that the Browns have played to this point, it's either they played easy teams or easy defenses, and I think that I got a little hyped up about the Titans last week. And I think I forgot how poor the defense for the Titans was. I was just hoping that that something would happen, that the Titans would work out for them. The Ravens have a good defense, and the Browns do too. And I think that the Browns have a shot here of shutting down the Ravens. But I think the way that the way that the Browns played against them in Week 1, I just feel like there's an indication there that it could be bad news for the Cleveland. They have a good shot, but I'm going to go with Ravens.
So on a week where we have agreed with everything, we end our last 3 with 3 disagreements.
Yeah, essentially. There you go.
Including a guarantee off. So
yeah,
it's going to be chill for the entire time, and then we get to Sunday afternoon and Monday night, and it is war. I'm going with the Browns. I think they're really solid, and they have more of an identity of the than the Ravens do right now.
Sure.
The Cowboys game was a little bit of a get right for the Ravens, but it was the Cowboys, so I don't want to put a ton of stock in that.
Sure.
And overall, I just think that I like what the Browns are doing and think that the Browns can overcome a Ravens defense in the right situation. And they're in Cleveland, so that can help too.
Yeah. I think with the exception of the Washington 49ers game, I'm going to be rooting for you to win the Bills and Browns ones. I would prefer the Bills and Browns keep winning.
Yeah.
To lock up their playoff spots, get close to locking up their playoff spots, just to see teams that are relatively newer to the scene, but the only reason I'm rooting against Washington is because I want the Giants to put I need the Giants to stiff arm the Washington football team for a little bit longer, to keep their division lead.
Yeah, I get you.
But that was a rush near the end there. But 3 disagreements, none of which involve our Team Chaos, since we agreed on the Team Chaos this week. But a big guarantee. So we both put a guarantee on one game, and we both put a Team Chaos on one game, but we had the disagreement was with the Steelers and Bills.
Yeah,
on the guarantee. Yeah, that's gonna be wild. I'm excited about that. All right. We will be back next week.
Yeah.
Same time, same place. I'll tell you guys a little bit about we got a big event this weekend. I'll be telling you guys about after the fact. That
I'm very excited for it. I won't be there, but I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, and I'm preparing for and I'm wrapping up finals, and it's all coming up, Chris, right now. We'll see what next week holds. I'm excited. I'm just excited that we're in the final stretch here, and we'll see what other cross your fingers nothing bad happens. Nothing more bad happens that causes schedule changes. But we're looking good right now. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Any final words?
Don't forget to take the meat off your bones.
It's just
Imagine,
nice and
imagine
slow.
if you forgot the start of the podcast, how scared you would be.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.